I personally don't think the Lakers are good enough to be contenders right now. Not right now.
When you say contenders, what do you mean?
I don't think they have enough to get to the Western Conference final. I don't think they have enough to get to really contend from that perspective.
So
right
OKC is in a class by themselves.
Very much
They
so.
won 1 million games last year. They won the title. They have one loss and 23-1 now? Can't keep
I stopped
up.
counting.
Right, so it's crazy.
They're good. They're really good.
And I always thought, even last year, it's like, wait, they're this good and they're going to get Chet Holmgren at a certain point? Like, that's a lot, right?
Yeah.
That's a lot. And here they are. They're rolling. Now they're confident because they just won the championship. They're maturing. They're getting better. So, okay, put them aside for a second. You think the Lakers don't fit in with the rest of the pack? They got the second best record in the conference.
Yeah, but we've seen that before. That doesn't mean anything.
Ladies and gentlemen, y'all do me a favor and drop a like on the video. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. You already know who it is. It's your boy, Reggie. So apparently, folks, Rich Paul and Max Kellerman recently started a new podcast. And Rich Paul wasted no time on violating the Los Angeles Lakers and Austin Reaves, okay? Now, these are things that we've been talking about on this channel for years now. You know, after last year in the playoffs, folks, when the Lakers lost in the first round, I thought we all came to the conclusion that a Luka Doncic, Austin Reaves backcourt simply isn't going to work, okay? These guys cannot guard a parked car. And yeah, I mean, it was terrible what happened in the first round, folks. I mean, Austin Reaves, he was getting pushed around, by, Naz Reid, Jaden McDaniels. They were violating him. It got very disrespectful at one point, folks. Naz Reid told Austin Reaves, that he'll slap the shit out of him, right? And then, Jaden McDaniels comes from behind and pushes him in the back. So this is what happened, right? Luka, most blow-bys that we've ever seen by a Laker in I don't know how long. The dude doesn't guard anything. He doesn't play any sort of defense whatsoever. We saw that in the finals versus, Boston. Jaylen Brown, ladies and gentlemen, is now a finals MVP thanks to Luka Doncic, right? So he got clapped in 5 in the finals and he got clapped in 5 in the first round this past season, right? So once again, these are things that I've been saying for years now, but Rich Paul, folks, he finally is now speaking out about the Lakers not really being too much of a threat to really anybody in the Western Conference. Take a listen to what Rich Paul had to say.
I think they fit in with look, ideally Austin Reaves, and who knows what happens by the playoffs, is Ginobili, right? In an ideal world,
on a championship
team, he's the killer sixth man, right?
Yeah. But
that's
he's
not
paid,
this.
But he's paid as a starter.
He's paid. I get it. Yeah. So it makes it harder.
Yeah.
Right.
No, what I'm saying is, Ginobili was paid as a starter. He just
but in
was
this day and age, if you're paid the way he's about to get paid,
but
it's harder to make you a sixth man.
Going back to the championship organization versus an organization with championships, the Spurs.
On the Spurs, he'd be the sixth man, right?
Right.
Especially back in the day.
The Spurs made that decision, and you know what Ginobili did?
He
embraced it.
Right.
And how many championships they win? 5.
Yeah.
It's those type of decisions to be made. Again, not getting enamored with all the other things. But I just don't. I think there's a couple things to be made, changes to be made in the short and the long.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's pretty obvious that Rich Paul, and shout out to Rich Paul, man, but it's pretty obvious that Rich Paul has been listening to the show, folks. These are things that I've been saying for years now. I've even created graphics, folks, okay? Now, one of the graphics that I've created a while ago is the Austin Reaves cycle, okay? Now, once again, folks, if you've been following the Lakers the last few years, really ever since 2023 when he became a full-time starter for the Lakers, this is basically what he does pretty much every single season, right? Every single regular season, he has a decent regular season. Once again this year, right? Off to a decent start. Obviously LeBron James was out, so his production bumped up a little bit from last season. Other teams are dealing with injuries, right? So, the Lakers having an easier schedule to start the year. You know, Austin and Luka being, you know, top 3 in the league, I believe, in free throw attempts per game, right? So they've mastered foul baiting. They've taken this thing to a level, folks, that we've just never seen before, right? So, in my opinion, right, and shout out to Rich Paul once again, because Rich Paul is absolutely right about this entire situation, you cannot have both of these guys in your backcourt at your point of attack, right? You can't have both of them. Now, we all know Luka Doncic couldn't guard a parked car. We figured that out in the finals versus the Celtics. We figured that out last year in the first round versus Minnesota. Both series he lost in 5 games, folks. This dude is a horrible defender once you get to the postseason. And I shouldn't even have to tell you guys how bad of a defender Austin Reaves is, okay? This dude, ever since he became a starter, ladies and gentlemen, for the Lakers 3 years ago, the Lakers can't win a playoff series. Like, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, but in the conference finals versus Denver, the Lakers lost 4-0. The following year, 2024, the Lakers lost to Denver again in the first round, 4-1. And then last year, the Lakers lost to Minnesota 4-1. So the Lakers are 2-12 ever since Austin Reaves became a starter for the Lakers, folks, right? We're not even competitive with Austin Reaves in the starting lineup. And that is what Rich Paul is saying here. Tough decisions have to be made at this point, right? When are the Lakers going to stop parading Austin Reaves around like he's an all-star or a superstar? Now, once again, in the regular season, like Rich Paul said, can you win games with LeBron, Luka, Austin, Rui? Can you win games with this? Can you win games with this lineup? Absolutely. But you're not winning a championship. You're not winning a championship. Austin Reaves, at best, needs to be your 6th man. You know, if it were me personally, you know, I'm going to be honest, he probably wouldn't play for me. But I think he would be much better suited for this Lakers squad if he came up off of the bench. But like Rich Paul said, man, are the Lakers going to do that? Are they going to make the tough decisions? We already saw Darvin Ham do it a couple of years ago. He tried to bench D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reaves, and he got a lot of pushback from Lakers media, right? So much so that he basically was forced to put them back into the starting lineup, and it ended up costing him his job in the long run anyway. So, once again, LeBron James, over the summer, said that he would be monitoring the Lakers, right? Rich Paul put out the statement. Folks, you don't think this is what LeBron James thinks? Rich Paul is LeBron James' agent. Rich Paul is basically just telling us what LeBron essentially thinks. Now, once again, LeBron is on the team, so obviously he's not going to come out and say Austin Reaves needs to go to the bench. He's not going to do that. But, folks, once again, these are things that we've been saying for years now. Austin Reaves needs to go, or he needs to go to the bench. One of two things. You can't have him and Luka, and y'all aren't going to get rid of Luka. So Austin Reaves has to go if you want to have any chance of being competitive. If it were me, I would call the Pelicans. I would try to get a, Trey Murphy, a Herb Jones type of a player, somebody that you could put in the backcourt with Luka that can play both sides of the basketball. But once again, it's about fit. It's about defense. Okay? We got enough scoring. We don't need Austin's 28 in the starting lineup, whatever he's averaging this season. We don't need that. We need more balance in the starting lineup. Luka and LeBron can do most of the heavy lifting along with Rui, DeAndre Ayton, right? We need guys that can come in and D up, you know, have a point of attack defender, have guys that can guard on the perimeter, because Luka and Reaves, they simply can't. So that's really all I got on this, folks. Like I said, shout out to Rich Paul. It's very obvious Rich Paul has to be listening to the show at this point, because these are things that we've been saying for years now. And it's a shame that, you know, Rob Pelinka just doesn't see this at this point, folks. That's a shame to me, you know. But I guess it's going to take Rich Paul speaking out, hopefully, to wake these people up, man. You know, you guys got Austin Reaves basically for nothing, right? So you bought low on Austin Reaves. He's trying to get a new contract over the summer. Folks, it's time to sell on Austin Reaves. It's time to sell and get out of this nonsense now, okay? So these are my thoughts. Y'all come into the comment section, man, and let me know what you think about this particular topic. And I'm going to catch you guys on the next one. Be sure to drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. Peace.